Well, with 2021 in the rearview mirror, Democratic politicians and consultants across the nation are finding it harder to outpace their misfortunes in time for the 2022 midterms. That's according to Politico. David Siders reported earlier in December, quote, interviews with more than 24 state party chairs, executive directors, and strategists suggest party officials are reframing the 2022 election as a defensive effort, with success defined as maintaining the Democratic Senate majority and holding back a Republican tide in the House. Siders concludes, quote, asked about the party's prospects next year, one state party's executive director shook his head and said, let's get a drink. So with that in mind, we'd like to give you our best guess at what's to come in the 2022 electoral contest. So Ryan, why don't we start off with you? What do you think is going to happen?
Oh, God, I've gotten mostly out of the prognostication business. I could say that if Democrats can hold the Senate and lose the House, they would probably consider that a huge win for them. The big questions, I guess, come down to Maggie Hassan in New Hampshire and Raphael Warnock in Georgia and Mark Kelly in Arizona. And in both Georgia and Arizona, they have implemented new voting rights laws that, if they had been implemented in 2020, probably both of those candidates would have lost, with the exact same kind of politics unfolding. So we don't have the exact same politics unfolding. We have much worse politics for Democrats. So unless something changes, it's quite easy to see both of them, all three of them, losing. But it's going to be so close that it's really hard to predict, because it's sort of like a coin toss at that point. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I'm reading that there are 40 to 50 House Democrats that are in jeopardy, potentially, of their seats being taken over by Republicans. So that's a lot. My guess is there is going to be a clean sweep in the House. I think that Republicans are coming in droves. I don't know how long it's going to take for Democrats to rebuild. I also think that there's going to be a change in the Senate. I just think that Democrats are asking for it right now. They're just not delivering on really anything, and they're making people's lives miserable for a lot of people who would otherwise support them. I was looking at a poll. It was a Twitter poll, so of course it's always biased, right? It kind of depends on the audience. But someone was asking the question, how have your politics changed over this last year? And, have they stayed the same? Do you still affiliate with the same side? Did you switch from right to left? Did you switch from left to right? And most people have stayed the same, as to be expected. But the people who said they jumped from right to left was only about 3%, whereas the people who'd said I've left the left was in the 30 to 40%. So I think we're going to see a lot of that it really showcase itself in the midterms.
Yeah, the House is going to be a bloodbath. I think there's no way around that. That's an easy prediction to make for all the reasons you pointed out. The Senate, I am less sure about. Obviously, the conditions in my gut tell me the Republicans will take it back over. But when you look at the individual contests, I am not nearly as confident that Mark Kelly and Raphael Warnock will actually lose. I could very well see them holding on, and I haven't looked as closely at the New Hampshire race, so I'm not sure. So I need to take some time, sit down, look at the map, and see what I really think about a couple of these races. But it's hard to say. It could go either way. But it's going to be. I think the House losses will be so bad that you're right. Maybe if the House losses are real bad, but Democrats hold the Senate, the media gets to spin it as a narrow victory or something, or a better than expected victory for Biden. But
what it enables them to do is to replace Breyer if he steps down or dies, and to continue to make executive appointments and judicial appointments.
But the media is going to. They're going to smell blood in the water. Even the mainstream media is going to smell blood in the water a little bit and be like, collapse of Biden's presidency, et cetera, et cetera. Those are fun stories for the media to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it would take a lot, I think, probably for Biden to win the narrative of what happens. Right. I mean, it's just impossible, frankly.
Right.
At this point, they're going to want to pronounce him dead on the scene so they can start talking about, well, who is going to rescue the Democratic Party? Will it be Michelle Obama? Will it be Mayor Pete or whatever?
Right. But you're right. The Senate's fascinating because you have all these individual dynamics that are less trenchant in in House districts that
Right.
are now pretty much dominated by the national mood. But right, if it's Warnock versus Herschel Walker, Warnock has every chance in the world of winning that, especially with Stacey Abrams on the ticket to draw the people out. If it's Mark Kelly against a crank, that could help. Sununu in New Hampshire decided not to run. If Sununu had run, that would have been huge for Republicans in New Hampshire. So
that was a huge
gives
gift.
her a fighting chance.
Huge gift to Democrats.
Yeah. Even in Missouri, if Greitens gets the nomination, Lucas Kuntz, this populist Democrat.
Right, this is a Republican
is in-
candidate
yeah.
who didn't, like Josh Hawley, the very, very Trumpist other senator of Missouri, like had to prosecute. Didn't he have to prosecute him for something?
Something like- yeah, he had
when
to
he's Attorney
resign.
General
He
because of
resigned in
corruption
disgrace,
and
didn't he?
Right, he resigned in disgrace, and right, everyone's resigning in disgrace. But even among disgraced Republican figures, his particular disgrace is really bad.
Kim, how's California looking?
Oh,
Is it bloodbath out there for Democrats too, or what?
I don't think so, but I will be interested to see what happens with Governor Newsom. He is up for re-election, so I know we just had the recall and that didn't go over so well for those of us that wanted him gone, but he is up for actual re-election. I anticipate he's going to be re-elected, but people are really, though, the people that are really upset in California are leaving California, and that's why I actually think that Mark Kelly and even the Nevada Senator Cortez Masto would be potentially vulnerable, because I do think that there are a lot of Californians that have hightailed it even to Arizona and Nevada, and they are going to vote red. They're going to vote Republican. They just are so traumatized by Democrats that they're going to vote red. So I would actually see those senators potentially flipping those seats to red. Come 2022,
possible.
so we'll see.
Certainly possible.
Yeah.
The big structural forces are awfully powerful, but we'll see. We'll be watching it closely, and we'll have more rising right after this.